Team 7, number 1, written by Justin Jordan, art by Ron Frenz and Jesus Marino. This is part of the Black Diamond probability. Now, I've said this stuff before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't know what that means. There are no in-house ads for this book. There is no collection of Black Diamond probability. There is nothing that tells me the issues that are technically a part of this, save for Wikipedia. And I don't know where they're getting their information. So this event, as far as I can tell, barely exists. So I actually reached out to Justin Jordan, the writer of this book, and I figured, hey, your issue 1 is part of this event. That must mean it does something with it, right? What was the plan for this event? And he got back to me and he said, I genuinely don't recall. I have a vague recollection that I suspect may be entirely wrong, that I wanted to do Eclipso. By the way, spoiler alert, villain of this book is Eclipso. And it ended up being a vague crossover, but causality might go the other way. I do know that I never read or was even told what the other crossover stuff was. So the author of this book, where his first issue is part of this crossover, doesn't know what this crossover is. And I'm coming in 10 years late. So anyway, on to the issue itself. It basically opens up on a recap of the whole team again, just in case you didn't read issue 0. I'm not going to recap them all again. And they are tasked with going to this big floating prison, like up in the sky, floating prison, and it's there because they figured they could keep metahumans there. But as it turns out, something got out, killed everybody in the prison, and now they have to deal with it. So they approach and they realize that they are going to be shot at because the prison, of course, has its own defenses, and the pilot, Summer, is doing all these dodges and stuff like that, but they end up getting hit, and so they have to all parachute out, and, well, I say parachute, they literally just have to jump out of the plane onto the, as they call it, the float. So they all jump out, and Kurt Lance, aka Dinah Drake's boyfriend, or maybe husband, I can't tell at that point, he ends up tumbling off. He was falling off the float. He doesn't stick his landing. And a guy named James Bronson, I believe it is, he jumps off after him, and he's in basically like Iron Man armor. He grabs hold of him, saves his life. And James is just a nice guy, but then there's Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, who shows up and he's like, yeah, you should have probably just died because you're going to be a liability otherwise. So either learn how to do things right or stay out of the way. And Waller calls him out on being, yes, Amanda Waller, calls him out on being a total dick about it, but she stands up for her team, tries to keep everyone together. And so, yeah, they are then like, okay, what do we know about the float? Who's our enemy? And Waller's like, I don't know. They didn't really tell us anything. We are just to get in there, defeat the enemy, and take back the float. So they're trying to, like, figure out some way to get in. They're like, okay, well, maybe we should just shoot down the prison. Maybe we should try to find an entrance. Maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And while they're debating, Cole Cash, a.k.a. Grifter, he just walks back over because he's the wild card, and he just blows a hole in the thing and jumps in. So they're all inside, and they see the place is a bloodbath, and all over the walls is some writing, but it's like ancient text, like pre-Sumerian writing. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. They hear some noise nearby, and they all surround it, kick off the cover that was covering it up, and it turns out it's like a nurse or something, and she's just freaking out. She's like, oh, please, help, oh, God, it was horrible. And it's like, oh, it's civilian, don't worry, man, we're heroes. And immediately the nurse is like, heroes? Oh, that's good, I like killing heroes. So then she gets this blue mark over half her face, and she gets this creepy smile. She starts attacking the team, and she's got some pretty fast moves. She attacks Bronson in his Iron Man suit and seems to actually do a little bit of damage. But as he throws her off, the entire team has guns trained on her, and they just all open fire and knocks her out, no problem. But then they're like, okay, that was a bit too easy. She definitely isn't the one who did all this. And then rumble, rumble, out through the doors crashes the seemingly entirety of the float has been infected with whatever this is, and they're going to attack Team 7. It's the Black Diamond. It's Eclipso. I'm not keeping that in the bag. Again, it's a loose event, so I'm not going to judge it off of event standards. It's so loose of a crossover, it's not even a thing. In terms of this specific issue and just starting off the team, I like it. Last issue, I don't feel like gave me enough of the actual personalities of each of the people. I mean, sure, there was Black Canary, there was Deathstroke, there was Grifter, and there was Amanda Waller. All people that we're already familiar with. And so I could get their personalities from what I know about them. This one did a better job of me like saying like, okay, Dinah always cares about Kurt. That's her weakness. James Bronson, he cares about other people and just saving them. Deathstroke's much more utilitarian. He doesn't, if you're not useful, then get out of the way. Waller's trying to keep the team together. Like, it gives a good thing of how they work together in this team, like what pieces they each make up. In that regard, I think it succeeded. I don't think it did enough to set up the plot as a whole. I do think that probably too much of this issue just recapped stuff that should have been covered in the Zero issue, but I understand that, you know, people see a number 1, they may hop on even if they didn't hop on for the Zero issue. So it's kind of a necessity even if I don't like it. Overall, though, decent issue. Not great, just decent. So I'll give it a 6. I will say that I think it does have a voice. I just need to get more of it in order to feel like whether or not I actually like it or not. So 6 for now. Looking forward to what comes next, but I promise you I will not rail about the Black Diamond probability all the time.